Hey guys, what's up? Andrew back here with another video on my The Point YouTube channel. And in this video, as you read in the title, it's kind of about the things we see in everyday life that strikes us as unordinary, or as if it happened for a reason. And so that's why the title is it your mind or is it a sign? And so the truth is, I don't really know, okay? I don't have an absolute answer for you, okay? But the reason I'm making this video is for two reasons. One, so that I can kind of, I don't know, just like, it's just like a discussion that I want to have, right? But I would say it's a discussion that I want to have with you, but there's no way you can communicate back to me, so it's just kind of a one-sided discussion that I'm going to be having. And so by having that one-sided discussion with myself, I hope to illuminate myself a little bit on the whole idea. And so the second reason is for you guys to just give you guys some food for thought, because it's a pretty deep topic, right? Whether something is divinely sent to you or whether it's just a hallucination, And so to get it started, okay, I'm gonna give you a couple examples of what one of these things might look like. Alright, so say you're walking to the store, and on your way to the store, you're thinking about all the issues that you have going on with your family at home. And so while you're walking to the store, you see somebody on the phone just talking, and they're just like super angry. You can tell that, it's somebody that they have a close relationship that they're talking to on the phone, and they're just super angry, and they're just, just going through all this, emotional stuff, and they're just talking about it, to this person. And then as you continue your walk, wherever you're going, then you see like this perfect happy family just in a car, and they're just cruising, all laughing, just enjoying the same music, just all that, just your picture perfect family. And then as you go a little bit further, you see something that resembles your situation that's going on, with your family, or with your person, that you're in a relationship with, or whatever it is. And you see almost a reflection of yourself, of what you're going through. You see the same argument happening, you see something like that, And so when you see things like that, there's two ways to interpret them. A person like me, I look pretty deeply into everything that happens around me, because as I've talked about in a lot of my videos in the past, I find that there's a lot of value in the details, in the small things, that the smallest thing could be something that opens a door for you, or something like that. An example of that, is you just like hear a ringing in your ear or something, just those deja vu kind of superstitious moments that happen. And any ordinary person would just pass those over, just not give a blind eye to them. But if you actually are like, what is this trying to tell me? And then you actually look into it, and you come to a conclusion, oh, it's telling me to look at my phone. And so you take a look at your phone, and you see a text message from somebody or something like that, that's like, oh shoot, like, okay, so someone was trying to contact me. And so there's all these different kinds of superstitions about what those things mean. But at the end of the day, my interpretation of something like ringing in your ears, or just like, something weird happening, is that it's an opportunity to tune into that, to kind of free your mind a little bit and allow it to shift and to look at things from a different perspective. Because looking from a different perspective, you're able to see a little more clearly sometimes, okay? And so back to the topic, right? Is it your mind or is it a sign, okay? So talking about the person walking to work, right? Say your issue that's going on with your family is that you're unable to express yourself, and so you get angry and you try and go a little overboard, or you don't try and go overboard, but you just accidentally do, just trying to get your point across, and they take it as if it's hostile and aggressive, and that just adds to the whole problem or something like that. I don't know how many of you guys can relate with that, but hopefully you have a similar situation you've been through. Hopefully it's not with a family member or something like that, but even just like a coworker or anything along those lines, that you've had that kind of situation with. Then as you're walking to work, right, and you see this person arguing with somebody on their phone, it's two things. It's one, a reflection of your mind, right? Because, and what I mean by is it your mind, okay, is that your mind attracts things to it that are similar to what's going on inside of it, okay? So that's the whole idea of the law of attraction. If you have a peaceful or a happy mind state, you're going to see peaceful and happy things in your day. They're going to be attracted to you. So assuming for a second that that's true, I believe it is, because I've had several of these synchronistic experiences happen, but to each is their own. But assuming for just a moment, for the sake of what I'm trying to say here, that is the case, it could mean two things, right? It could be a reflection of your current situation. This person getting angry and they're just trying to express something through the phone to their loved one or to whoever it is they're talking to, and they just keep getting angry and keep getting angry and keep getting angrier, and it's just like, there's a lot of, it's a similar situation to what's going on in your life, right? So is it the law of attraction? Right away, a person like me is thinking, yeah, of course. Like, why else would that person be there? There could be 150 million other people there, but this person is there on this day when I'm going through this. Like, most likely, it's the law of attraction, right? But the interesting thing is that it's not only a reflection of your mind, right? Or a reflection of your internal experience, a reflection of what you're going through. It's also an opportunity to look at things from a different angle, okay? And the reason for that is because when you're when you're the person who's going through the experience, then it's a lot more difficult to keep a level-headed mind and to, think rationally. But walking to work and you see this person doing that, getting frustrated, you have the opportunity to see how it looks from somebody else's point of view. It's like, wow, this person is really freaking pissed, he's just getting more and more angry. Like, geez, like, I want to stay away from that, I don't want that directed at me by any means, and so it gives you an opportunity to recognize, like, oh, okay, so even though what I'm saying makes sense, it's still like just the tone of my voice, body language, all of that is playing into the fact that these people can't understand me, and so that's a situation, right? But now on to the second situation where you see the picture perfect family, right? And it's like, okay, so that doesn't make sense. That can't possibly be the law of attraction because I don't have a picture-perfect family. A picture-perfect family isn't running through my mind at this point in time, And so, why is it that this picture-perfect family sticks out to me? There's another 20 families, but this picture-perfect family is one of the things that are kind of like a checkpoint for me on my way to wherever I'm going. And so I see this picture-perfect family and I just like, wow, they all listen to the same music. They're all laughing. They're all smiling. They're all having a good time. And it's like, is that a reflection of my mind or is that a sign? Okay. And so that's a more tricky situation, right? Because if we assume for a second that it is the law of attraction and everything that happens in your external experience is a direct reflection of your internal experience or what's going on in your life, on a bigger scheme or on a more grand level, then you're gonna probably be thinking, what should this be like? How could I be doing this differently? Like, why aren't these people understanding me that I'm trying to talk to? Why don't I have a good family, you know, and so it's kind of a want that you have, okay? And so, like, it's kind of a polar opposite thing, right? You're going through this situation that's full of anger and misunderstandings and all kinds of BS, right? That's going on. And then you see this picture perfect family. And so you would think at first thought that that's not a reflection of the mind. But on second thought, it's like, okay, well, if I'm recognizing that I don't enjoy this experience that I'm going through, then on a deeper, more unconscious or subconscious level, I have to also recognize that things aren't supposed to be like that. People are supposed to understand me. I'm not supposed to be going through this BS, you know? And so it's like, well, shoot, looking from that point of view, you know, possibly that is a reflection of my mind. But now if we switch to, is it a sign, you know, you see that family and you have the opportunity to actually observe it. You know, it's like, you know, I see a perfect family and the first thought that goes through my mind is BS. There's no such thing. These people are not, you know, they're putting on a charade. They're acting like they're all happy and stuff, but as soon as they get home and close those doors, then poof, you know, it's going to be gone. You know, and whether that's the case or not, you know, that's the way I look at it. And there's many other ways to look at it. For example, you could think maybe they are actually happy, you know? And so it's like, okay, so when you're looking at this family, you know, when you're in it, it's a totally different experience. Sorry, a little hiccup. But being able to observe what's going on from another standpoint, you know, it's like, so what are they doing differently than me? How are they getting to this point? You know, is it that they're acceptant of each other? Maybe they don't all like that music, but they just are acceptant of each other anyways. And despite the fact that they don't like that music, they're not going to let it bring them down or make them feel crappy, you know? And so maybe that has some kind of revelation for you. Like, oh, okay, like, wow, so just even if I get a negative vibe from somebody, maybe I can, you know, just accept them anyways and just not let that negative vibe bring me down and just stay happy and cheerful and just ignore it, just block it out, you know, just act like it didn't happen and just carry on being, you know, a loving, kind person, you know. And so you can look at it from that point of view and it's like, maybe it is a sign. Maybe this is a situation that's trying to tell me how to get out of my current situation. And so before I move on to the next two steps, I want to just say a little something about what I think our experiences are made out of, okay? And so I think there are two things. Your external experience is made out of two things, okay? The first one of those being is it's your reflection, okay? Because, you know, if you've ever heard the saying, your current life experience is the direct result of your past actions, you know, it's like that's true to a sense. You know, if you're a soccer player, you know, for a professional team, you probably played lots of soccer to get to that point. If you're you know, if you're a gamer and you just play games all the time, then similar thing going on there, right? Or another situation, say going through your childhood, it was full of lots of bad things, lots of traumatic situations that happened. And so then when you look at your life 20 years later, it may be looking exactly the same, okay? And so the second thing that I think your external reality is made out of is the lessons that you actually need to learn, all right? And so they're kind of two in the same, you know, it kind of blends together, in my opinion, because, you know, every single one of us have lessons we need to learn, you know, or that we want to learn to grow, to become better people. And if you don't do that, if you don't seek out, you know, growth in any way, then you're just not going to grow in any way, and your situation is going to stay exactly the same. Okay, but taking the situation of, if you grew up in a bad childhood and then 20 years later you find yourself in a similar situation, but you're the parent per se, and your relationship isn't so great, and your kids are starting to pick up all of this emotional baggage, and it's starting to cause stress on them. It's just like a reflection of what happened in the past. But it's like this, okay? Your life isn't a direct result of what happens unless you're not willing to change it. If you're willing to take the time to change it, to recognize, oh, okay, so there must be something me and my dad have in common, or something that my wife and my dad's wife had in common, or that my kids and I have in common, And so it's like, that's my point, is just your experience is made out of two things, right? Like I said. And those two things, they kind of coincide. Okay. And so it's difficult to figure out, is this a direct representation of what I've been through, or is this an opportunity to grow, to expand, to become something better, to create a better life for myself? All right. And it can really be either one, right? And that's why I said I don't have an answer for you, because, I'm going through it currently myself. And so I'll see things happen to me that are like, oh, okay, so if that's a reflection of my mind, then it means I'm going through this. So let me tune into it and see what I can learn from it, and see if I can draw anything from it to help myself grow. But then it's like, or maybe if I look at that situation from a different angle, then it's still an opportunity to help me grow, but it's just like, I don't really know how to explain it, to be honest. So, rather than talking about my own experience, I'm just going to carry on with this metaphor. So, pardon the interruption. But, so, as you're going further along your walk, right, there was the person who was angry, the person who was frustrated. Second, there was the picture-perfect family. And then third, I said, you see like a direct representation of what's going on in your situation. You see somebody who looks like you, who wears the same clothes as you, arguing with somebody who looks like the person that, is having that situation, and like the personality of the person seems to resemble yours a lot, and the personality of the person that person's arguing with seems to resemble the personality of the person you're arguing with, and so it's like, okay, now that's definitely, the law of attraction. That's definitely my mind that has attracted this to me. But, it's still an opportunity to look in and to try and get a little bit of insight on what's going on in your own situation, right? And so, I don't know, to switch off of course a little bit, because this whole topic is getting a little difficult for me to actually speak about. But the reason it's getting difficult actually has to do with the idea of the video. And so what that is, I'm saying things that I feel in a certain way pertain to my life, okay? And so as I'm saying them, I recognize, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not making this video for other people, maybe I'm making it for me, which is one of the things I said at the beginning of the video, right? So I know that that's part of the reason I'm making this video, but it makes me kind of doubt, my other reason for making this video, which is to share this kind of thought process with you guys, to give you guys food of thought, right? And so it kind of interrupts my train of thought, because I take, what's going on in my external experience and I internalize it in a kind of way, okay? And so that's just the result of me trying to do this for so long, of me trying to find purpose in the small things, or not purpose, try to find insight is a better way to put it, of me trying to find insight and ways to grow and expand from what I'm currently doing, what experiences I'm going through. And so, it's interesting, okay, because there's two ways to look at those things, right? If I look at it as a sign that, wow, okay, so the reason that I just thought that what I'm talking about in this video is for me is because I looked at it as a sign. I looked at it as something that, was there for me. Even though it's me that's talking and it's not so much the external world, it's still something that's going on in my current experience. And so, I'm like, oh, that's a sign. That's a sign. That's a sign. How can I use that to better myself, to improve myself? But it's like, if you spend so long thinking or looking at things as signs, then maybe you hit a point in which, it's just, and this is what it is for me, it seems like. It seems like if you look so much for signs, then you hit a point where the universe stops giving them to you, okay? And then you're just starting to kind of look for signs and where there's none, And if you think about that, right, it's like if you're driving to the store and you're just looking for signs and you're like, okay, where's, is there a stop sign? Is there a pedestrian sign? And there's just not one. Then it's like all that time is wasted, You should just be paying attention on your current, experience, the current thing that you're going through, which is, in that situation, driving. If you're looking for all these signs, it actually takes your focus off of what's going on in the current moment. And the current moment is kind of, it's a reflection of your mind, okay? And so, like I said, and this is really interesting because I was hoping something like this would happen, and it actually is, which is pretty cool. But it's like, so say you're driving, right? And you're just driving. And it's like, okay, so, is there nothing? There's no signs, there's no reflection of my mind. It's like, okay, so I'm just driving, And it's like, well, you have to take another step back. It's like, what are you actually doing? You're just driving, okay? Why are you driving? You're driving somewhere probably. Let's assume you're on a road trip, okay? And so you're on a road trip, and it's like, okay, so why am I on this road trip? Maybe it's just to get away from family. You just needed some time to relax. You just needed a little bit of peace of mind and clarity. And so it's like, okay, so now instead of seeing my actual experience in the external world being attracted to me, right, in these auspicious manners, now I'm actually living a reflection of my mind, And so what that would look like, for example, if you're on this road trip going through, trying to escape from your family, get some clarity. And it's like, okay, so right now my mind wants clarity. It wants to be alone. Why does my mind want clarity? Why does my mind want to be alone? Nobody wants to be alone. Well, maybe they're overcapacitating you. Maybe, there's probably a million reasons. Why am I looking for clarity? Because I feel like I'm currently lost. I feel like, there's, things don't make a lot of sense. And so I need time and space to try and piece things together and help them make sense, right? But maybe things aren't supposed to make sense. Maybe things aren't supposed to be easy, in a relationship. Maybe being alone is the thing that's causing the issue, and they just want you to be around them more, And so that's just, I'm not talking about my personal experience. I'm just talking about the person who's driving on a road, right? And so it's like, okay, looking at it from that point of view, everything kind of is attracted by the mind. Your current situation, your external, the people you run into, the things you go through, the things you experience, all of it is a reflection of your mind. And all of those things, you can take a step back, look at them from a different perspective, and rather than a reflection of your mind, they become more of a sign. Okay? And the interesting thing is, by looking at things as a sign, you're able to grow. You're able to take in those lessons that you need to find. And so, those lessons, like I said, are also a reflection of your internal self. It's your want to grow, your desire to become a better person, And so it's like, everything that happens in life happens for a reason, if you don't mind me saying such a corny saying. And it's just like, you just have to be able to take a step back from the experience and kind of look at it from a point of view outside of the experience, as instead of looking at it as your mind, look at it as your mind. I know that doesn't make sense. Let me clarify a little bit. Instead of looking at things identified as your mind, instead of looking at things as the current experience you're in, look at the things that you're going through as a reflection of your mind. Look at them as your mind in action. Okay? And so that's the interesting thing, right? And right now we're stumbling across the idea of the Matrix and, I can't remember the other movie, the one that ends with a spindle going and is a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream, and it's like, that's the reality we live in. We live in a reality where you have you have another you that's outside of that experience and can learn from it, can draw from it, and can grow from it. And then it seems like you start to become more like that second person because you start to, be able to grasp those things. But then all of a sudden you recognize that everything that you just learned was still a part of your mind. It was still a part of what your mind is attracting to you. And it's still a sign in a kind of way. And so it's just like, how long does that go? Once I, recognize that and draw that in, then does it go back again? And then once I recognize that and draw that in, does it go back again? And I'm only 20 years old, about to turn 21, so I can't answer that for you. I can't tell you how many times it goes back. But I can tell you that from my seeking out of knowledge, from the signs I've taken in, from the things I've learned, throughout my 20 years of life, I've learned that there's two ways to go about living. One way, to look for signs, to look for ways to grow, to do that, and the other way is to just live in the moment, what they call it, And so, living in the moment, again, doesn't allow for a lot of growth. And the interesting thing about that is, who doesn't want to grow? Who doesn't want to become better? But it's like, hey, maybe if my mind is already this enormously powerful thing that can attract situations to me and puts me in the experiences that I'm going through and stuff, maybe there's no need to grow more. Maybe because looking for all these things, it kind of goes to show to a certain degree that you're looking for something, that you need more, that you're trying to find more, that you're trying to find clarity, information, peace of mind, this, and this, and that. And maybe all you have to do is stop looking to recognize that you already have it. Because if you're looking for peace of mind, then there's no way that you can have peace of mind. Because peace of mind means that you're not looking for it. It means that you don't need anything else. You're happy with what you have. You enjoy your current experience, And so it's like, it's an interesting thing. Do I want to grow? Do I want to draw information from experiences and, become a better person? Or do I want to just sit back and just enjoy the moment. Enjoy peace of mind, clarity, bliss, all of my senses and all of their depth, And it's like, well, if you decide that you just want to live in the moment, per se, then how are you going to grow in a physical sense? Your life may be all rainbows and sunflowers, and once you create this sense of peace of mind inside of yourself, then that only goes to show that you're going to attract those things to you, and so now you're the master of your mind, so they say, because now you attract the things to you that you've created just by, shutting off the looking, okay? And I hope that doesn't get too confusing. I know it's like getting to a point where I'm starting to sound like some philosopher and not just Andrew, but anyways, hopefully you guys can grasp that. If not, replay it 100 times and maybe you'll catch it. But then the other point of view is that maybe you'll just be a reflection of what's going on, right? Maybe if you don't make any effort to grow, to improve, to find insight, information, knowledge from your external experience, then you're not going to grow as a person. And if you're not going to grow as a person, then how are you going to grow in a financial state? How are you going to grow in a health state? How are you going to grow in this, and that? You can have peace of mind all you want. You can have happiness and you can have, all that. But does that mean that you're going to be wealthy? A lot of people would say, yes, if you're happy, then you're going to attract happy situations to you. But I disagree. I think that you look at things through the eyes of your mind, okay? So if you are happy, then you're going to see a crappy situation going on to another person, but to you, it's going to seem like it's not that crappy because you're happy, if you see what I'm saying. Okay? And so just because you have peace of mind and so on and so forth, that could actually be an illusion of the mind, still going on. And so it's really like there's no escape, from this matrix. There's all these ways that people are like, oh, just do this, just do this, just do this, just do that, just do this. But to me, it's like, yeah, but that still goes to show that there's more growth that can happen. There's still more insight to be drawn from. There's still more to take in. And so that goes to show why I'm the person who's always, looking for a sign in everything. Because despite the fact that I know I could just stop and just breathe and just feel my heartbeat, meditate and just feel good and just enjoy life. And no matter if I'm in the slums, if I'm in a gutter, if I'm, working at a fast food restaurant, if I'm in a car accident, if I lose a limb, no matter the extreme situation that I'm in, I know that I could still just enjoy it just by living in the moment. But I'm like, I want more control than that. I want more power than that. I want to not just let my life happen in front of me and be the innocent bystander of it. I want to dive into it. I want to put out, I want hands-on experience. I want to be able to grab information and then apply it to my life and see how it grows and see if I can create financial wealth for myself based on something I learned. If I can create health for myself based on something that I learned. If I can create strong relationships for myself based on something I learned. And so, like I said, I really don't have an answer for you in this video. Is it your mind or is it a sign? But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's how you want to look at it. And depending on how you want to look at it, it seems to me like you can just enjoy life or you can take control of life, take command of life. And so it's like, a bunch of what are they called? Contradictions go on in that situation. Because if you want, I don't want to get too much into it, so bear with me, I'm sorry. But if you want to just enjoy life instead of take control of it, then what are you trying to do? You're trying to create a situation for yourself that's just pleasurable. You know, so it's even though it's, you know, not looking and seeking and whatever, at the end of the day, you are still seeking out peace. You're still seeking out happiness. And so you're still trying to control something. There's no escaping that. The internal need and want and desire we all have to fill a sense of control and of peace and of happiness. But then if you're the person who wants to dive in, you know, and just grab and control, then it's interesting, because as you do that and you start creating with that information and insight and knowledge that you have, you start to naturally receive things that give you peace of mind, that give you happiness, and so on and so forth. And so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying money gives you happiness. I'm not saying the perfect girlfriend and, you know, a nice house and a good car and a great job is going to give you peace of mind and happiness. I'm just saying that if you know that happiness is something that you can just have, then it seems like as you take control of things, you're able to create that peace of mind for yourself, but you're also able to create the life that you want, okay? Because once you have the life that you want, then why keep looking? You know, so it's like, you can't just live in the moment forever, because if you just live in the moment forever, then how are you going to have control over your situation? How are you going to create an abundant situation for yourself? Unless, of course, it'll just be magically attracted to you, right? And so it's like, you know, it seems to me like the better thing to do is take the information and insight that you've found and to create a life for yourself that's, you know, peaceful and so on and so forth. But then again, that's a contradiction too, because why spend 20, 30, 40 years chasing physical things and women and mansions and nice cars and good jobs and all that, when you can just not and have immediately right now all the same sense of security as you will have in 40 years, you know? So it's like, maybe living in the moment is the right thing, you know? But it's like, you know? So, like I said, I don't have an answer for you guys. That's a lot of food for thought for you guys, and I hope I don't drive you guys into fucking psychosis just by watching the video. But either way, you know, I shouldn't even say that. I shouldn't say drive you into psychosis, because that's the label that, you know, I feel identified with slightly to a certain degree. Because when people hear that you're looking for signs and, you know, this and that, and just my simple way of thought, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and so they label it as insane, as psychotic. And I shouldn't say that, because I personally know that it's not. I know that it's a path to discovery. I know it's information that is invaluable, you know, not only to myself, but to be able to share it with other people. And so I shouldn't say drive you into psychosis. I should just say, I'm sorry if I put so much stress on your mind that you can't even comprehend what I said. But I think that it would be very beneficial for you to look into what I have said in this video. And so I hope I didn't drive you crazy and annoy the hell out of you, or whatever it is that I'm trying to say. Those of you who are annoyed and drove me crazy, you know exactly what I'm trying to say. The rest of you are looking at me like an absolute idiot because everything that I said made sense to you on some level. And so, you know, I don't know. That's really all I want to say. You know, all of my topics are kind of non-stop, ever-going loops. But nonetheless, I'm going to close off this loop here, end the video here, say thank you guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope that I was able to give you guys some food for thought. I feel I definitely learned something from this. Actually, not really on second thought, but who cares? You know, I got my experience and I'm going through it and I'm learning from it and I'm doing whatever I'm doing with it, and you got your experience, so you do what you want to do with it. And that's all I got for you guys. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoy your week, your day, your afternoon, night, evening, morning, whichever it may be, and I will see you later. Peace out. Have a good one.